So make sure you like the video if you do like the video. And also subscribe to the channel. That's a lot. And yeah, maybe comment down below some of your answers. Maybe just answer one of them, or more fun, comment one of your own start, bench, or cuts down in the comments, and I'll answer them. Maybe some other people will answer them. Just as long as we're all respectable, it should be a lot of fun. So yeah, I think that's everything. So let us get started. Alrighty, well, it's funny that we're starting a start, bench, or cut video without even it starting out with a start, bench, or cut question. First question is, who do you think the best player in the NBA is right now? Golly. Oh, and I'm also getting a lot of these, if not all of these, from Hoop Central on Twitter. So I'm sure if you're an NBA fan and you're on Twitter, you probably know who Hoop Central are. Great follow, by the way. And they have a picture up of Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Joel Embiid, or they have another option as well. Obviously, you want to throw out DeRozan, Luka, Ja, yada yada yada. Who is the best player in the NBA right now? Oh my goodness, that is very, very, very tough, especially if you're trying to sleep right now. This might be too of an intense question to think about when you're trying to fall asleep or something. Who is the best player in the NBA right now? I mean, man, every fiber of my being really wants me to say LeBron. Obviously, only kind of because he's been going off pretty recently. He just dropped 2 50-point games the past week. Absolutely insane. And I mean, quite honestly, in my own opinion, if the Lakers had a better record, even if they were even 8th in the West or something like that, I'm sure he'd probably be at least higher up in the MVP rankings, or even winning the MVP if he was on a better team. Because man, he's having one of his best seasons statistically, and not even really being all that mentioned in the MVP races is absolutely insane. So I kind of want to say LeBron. But then, of course, the bigs this season of Jokic and Embiid have also just been absolutely killing it. One of those guys are probably going to win MVP. And then you have, the Giannis argument, because he's such a great two-way player. Dude's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year this year. His name is in the MVP conversation. And that two-way capability that Giannis brings is just, it's so valuable. And obviously when you're thinking about MVP, it's a value, and you get it on both ends of the floor with Giannis. And that's the thing that is really tough when you have to think about this question. And then obviously Steph Curry is still Steph Curry, an amazing scorer. And then obviously Kevin Durant, and man, when he does play, he's amazing, but he doesn't really play all that often. He keeps getting hurt, yada yada yada. But man, when he does play, he can carry a franchise to a title, man. He by himself can win games and even playoff series, it seems. So, oh man. And then again, if we're talking about this season, I mean, you have to talk about DeMar DeRozan and John Morant. Those guys are absolutely killing it. I'm surprised they didn't put a picture of John Morant in there, because he's also a player who's putting up 50-point bombs and just pretty much revitalizing an entire franchise. I mean, he's probably already in his career the most talented basketball player in Memphis Grizzlies history. Already in his career, it's crazy. And then again with DeRozan, Luka Doncic is in that conversation. Even Jason Tatum picking it up. Either of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, so many good names. But me personally, oh man, it might have to be Jokic. If we're talking about right now, a dude who's just absolutely just carrying a franchise, and just what he's doing with that team with a bunch of really solid role players without having both of their max contract players and Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. I might have to say Jokic. I really want to say LeBron though, and the little, 2010s, 2000s, heart of basketball inside of me is really wanting me to say LeBron, but man, I feel like Jokic on any NBA team without any of their own superstars could carry a franchise to a playoff series. That's what you have to think about it. And I'm not knocking the Lakers or LeBron, but if Jokic was on that Laker team, with that Laker team being in a better spot without LeBron, I'm not starting to start a debate here, but I don't know. Jokic seems to be doing a very good job, and obviously the Denver Nuggets are a good team. I'm not saying they're not a great team. They're very solid role players around Jokic that play very well together, but it's a very tough conversation. I'd really want to know your answer, but I think mine might be Jokic, LeBron. I think those are my two defensive end on to prior years in his NBA career, and I think he just is really starting to become more and more and more and more of a team leader. I could see, in a couple years when Chris Paul retires, Devin Booker looks like he can finally step into that. Oh, okay, I can actually, lead a franchise. Have players built around me, yada yada. Because obviously, in prior years, Devin Booker was just a good scorer, but now it seems like you can actually, build a really good team around Devin Booker. So very excited to see that. So Devin Booker starting 100%. And again, when you're thinking about this sort of start, bench, cut, I guess theory or question in your head, it can be based off of a lot of different things. You can think of it as like, if you were the owner of a team, which players would you actually start, bench, and cut from your team? Or you can just do it based off of talent, like what player is better, the next best, and then the player that's left out. There's a bunch of different ways you can think about this. For me personally, I always think about it as like I'm a GM of a team. What player am I start, benching, or cutting? So with that being said, if I am thinking of it in that sort of way, if you think about it any other way, then that's totally fine. If I already have Devin Booker, I'm gonna pick up DeRozan. I think I'm gonna bench DeMar and cut James Harden, not because I hate James Harden. I know a lot of people are always like, oh, you're always out to get this player or this team. I don't care. I'm not that involved in basketball where I'm like hating players or hating teams. I really don't care. But I think if I already have a player like Devin Booker, a two guard, even just a guy who can sort of control the ball a lot, sort of play that sort of point guard role, don't really need a James Harden, even though they could play together extremely well. Oh my God, that'd be a crazy sort of backcourt in the NBA. I think having a sort of different dynamic with DeMar DeRozan outside of a Devin Booker, I feel they could play together very well. You have a very athletic, finishing, mid-range type of player who can play back in the post. You can feed him a lot. So having that in DeMar DeRozan, who's also having a very, very, very stellar year, and then you have James Harden, who's kind of had an up and down year. And this is currently in today's NBA. Who would you rather have? Not all time. I should preface that as well. In today's NBA, a lot of up and down seasons and health and inconsistency, if I could say. He's a great player. He can drop 60 points in a given night, but I think DeMar's just been a little bit more consistent. So I would bench DeMar. I would cut James Harden, but I could see obviously the argument of even starting James Harden. He's an amazing player. He has that potential, but this season currently hasn't really had the best season, so that's why I'm giving it up to these other two guys. Alright, here's a little bit more of a fun one. Out of all the players in NBA history, so you can pick any players in NBA history, who would be in your all-time dream dunk contest? So I think there's 4 contestants every year. So you have to pick 4 players to be in your all-time fantasy dunk contest. All these players are in their prime, yada yada yada. Okay, well, I think of course, first of all, Vince Carter. I think Vince Carter is probably going to be in everyone's. I think Vince is an insane dunker, sort of changed the game and sort of how we see and view dunking in the NBA. I think he's, in my opinion, he's the best in-game dunker of all time. Then I'm going to go with the best dunk contest dunker of all time in Zach LaVine. I think those two guys, I would just want to see those two guys go at it. That would definitely be a lot of fun. Third, I think definitely in like his early Cleveland Cavalier days when he was a little bit more of a jumper, a little bit more flashy, had a lot of swagger, I'm going to say LeBron. And again, not sort of just riding on LeBron or wherever you want to say it. I think LeBron, when he wasn't so much of a muscly built sort of guy when he went off to Miami, I think, again, like an early LeBron, 2007-8 LeBron James, that would be a lot of fun to watch when he was a little bit more athletic, a little more showtimey with his dunks and things like that. I think he could have had a couple tricks up his sleeve to really put on a great show. So I'm going to pick those 3 guys. And the 4th guy, oh man, this is where it gets really tough. Now, I know you're thinking, oh, Jake today's sort of modern era know how to do. I think Vince Carter definitely could have done it. So that's why I'm picking him up, and he sort of did, again, change the game of the dunk contest. I mean, Dominic Wilkins and the Michael Jordan dunk contest is great. It's sort of iconic and nostalgic, but if you actually watch the dunks, they're nothing too crazy. Those would be 40s dunks in today's NBA, so maybe not them. This is kind of tough. Man, I really want to say Aaron Gordon, so I just say Aaron Gordon. I think I might just say Aaron Gordon. That dunk contest those two put off against each other were amazing. I feel like even nowadays, Aaron Gordon thinks, oh, if I could go back a couple years, I have a couple more dunks I probably could have tried, or this or that, or whatever. So I feel like if we sort of put their brains, their knowledge of the dunk contest into their prime bodies, I feel like those four guys would be a very fun dunk contest. Other ones I was thinking about, I think of course Kobe Bryant could have been a lot of fun to see. Even John Morant, I think he has a lot of potential to be there. I don't know, he's more of like an in-game dunker, saying that with Kobe. I think Kobe Bryant was more of like an in-game type of dunker. He had a solid dunk contest, but I think he was definitely more of a flashier sort of in-game dunker. I mean, Dwight Howard, Nate Robinson, Jason Richardson, that's a very underrated one, but I think that four was pretty solid. It's actually a good conversation. Who is the best shooting guard in the league right now? That's a pretty good question. They have a picture up right now of Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Zach LaVine, and James Harden. Obviously, there are a lot of other ones, and it's also kind of hard to sort of categorize players in sort of positions. But I think that's a pretty solid top four. I'm trying to think of other. I mean, Kyrie Irving you can even sort of categorize as one, but even then now with James Harden out of there, I guess he's kind of like the point guard now, because Seth Curry isn't really the point guard, and James Harden was the point guard when he was there, but he's not there anymore. Yeah, I think I would have to go with Devin Booker. Devin Booker in Phoenix. That Phoenix team is so like a well-oiled machine. Like, that is a very scary team, and they're definitely, at least in my opinion, they might be the favorites to win the title. Definitely when Chris Paul comes back, I really need to see how well they play when he comes back. But man, that Phoenix Suns team is insane. That's mostly because of how Devin Booker is playing this year. But I do think Donovan Mitchell, definitely sort of an underrated player in my opinion in today's NBA. I feel like he's definitely one of those players where if he was playing in like New York or a sort of bigger market, he would get a lot more shine. And who knows what happens with Utah this year? Maybe they go out in the first round and maybe he does ask out. But I think he's kind of an underrated player. Zach LaVine in Chicago has played amazing, and obviously again we were just talking about James Harden. But I'm trying to think if am I like leaving someone out? I feel like this definitely should have been a closer conversation. But yeah, I would say Devin Booker is the best shooting guard in the NBA right now. We have a couple of start bench cuts here. This one's kind of a tough one. We have a start bench cut of SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Darius Garland, and LaMelo Ball. All these great young point guards on up-and-coming teams. Well, two of them are up-and-coming. One of them is on its way. Ooh, man, those are three really good players. But for me personally, you guys know my thoughts on LaMelo Ball. Just an insane player, already an all-star. I think he's the fourth youngest all-star of all time as well. Only behind like Kobe, Magic, LeBron, and then it's LaMelo Ball, which is super crazy. But not only that, I think his play style is so like the prototypical NBA point guard, like a big, see over everyone, can handle the ball super well, can score on the inside, outside. I think he can, at one point in time, become a very solid defender. Again, his sort of wingspan and his height, I think he could really lock it down if he was really, trying. I feel like he could do that. He obviously has a knack for passing lanes and stealing the ball in that sort of sense, but even just locking someone down, I hope he can get better at that later on in his career, and also being a leader. Also, it's kind of a knack on him. He's not much of a leader. But I'm starting LaMelo Ball, so I'm gonna start him. And when it comes to benching a player, God, SGA and Garland, that is such a tough conversation. It also kind of sucks because SGA hasn't had that great of a season. But let's just say this is you're starting a franchise, and what three young point guards would you want to build around? Of course, if we're talking about this season, I think of course you'd have to pick Garland maybe over both these guys because the season he's having is absolutely insane. But let's say it's just which players would you rather have at their healthiest? And of course, Garland, more of like the typical 6'3" point guard, definitely more of a playmaker. He's averaging right now as well. Ay, 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 ay. Oh my god, this is so tough. You know what? Again, in my opinion, if I am up GM and you're looking at potential, SGA is a 6'5", 6'6" guard who can play point. He can play off the ball very well. We saw that with Chris Paul when he played there in OKC. I think I'm gonna go with SGA, and I love Garland. You guys have I've talked about Garland so much. He's my pick for most improved player. He is absolutely playing out of his mind, and man, he's really changed that franchise around. He looked like I always questioned if he could be, the guard for that team because Colin Sexton was there, and I always thought that was their pickup. Like he was going to be the point guard, but now it looks like Garland has taken that role over, and he's running with it amazingly. But a 6'2", 6'3" guard versus a 6'5", 6'6" guard who can defend very well. He can play off the ball, on the ball. Can pretty much do almost everything that Garland can as well. Not as much of a playmaker, but still a very good one. I think I gotta go with SGA, and then LaMelo Ball is just that guy is a superstar talent. I think we might all agree that we're all keeping him, but those other two, that is such a toss-up. Ooh, we have a start bench cut of legends. We have a legend start bench cut. We have one of Tracy McGrady, Dwayne Wade, and Allen Iverson. Whoa, those are some three legends. Okay, I think of course for me, and probably a lot of you watching the video right now, you gotta start Dwayne Wade. D Wade is in my opinion is such an underrated player. The dude is the third greatest, in my opinion at least, greatest shooting guard of all time, only behind Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Like, that is insane that he is only behind two of the top 10 players in NBA history in his position, which is absolutely insane. He was definitely robbed of an MVP season for sure. The dude carried a team to a title in like his third season in the NBA while they had Shaquille O'Neal. He was the best player on that team for sure. Very undervalued. I'm picking Dwayne Wade to start. Now, again, when it comes to value, I'm gonna bench a healthy Tracy McGrady. Again, if this was like a realistic start bench cut, like if these were their actual players, of course I'm taking Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, who had, 2 good seasons, and then he was hurt for a season. He had to have a good season, then he was hurt for another 2 seasons. Like, very inconsistent when playing. So obviously you take Allen Iverson because he was, there when he was there. But again, a fantasy style, no injuries. This dude was a 6'8", crazy skilled guard, pretty much like a point forward. You could pretty much run Tracy out to one. That's how great of a ball handler he was, and obviously maybe one of the greatest scorers in NBA history when he was fully healthy. Like, this dude can score from all different levels. I think he averaged like 38 points per game one point in his career. Like, T-Mac is T-Mac, fully healthy, one of the most talented players of all time. I don't know, very skilled. Allen Iverson, great player, absolute legend. But if I'm picking a team was a guy who always believed he could win no matter if he was matched up against Michael Jordan, the GOAT himself, or any given night. I feel like he always gave his team his 110%. He really was, a lock-it-in type of player, and I love the mindset that he played with, even being on a team in Indiana, going to the finals and everything like that. Like, that's insane. So I'm going to take Reggie Miller, also a super high IQ player. Again, not saying Ray Allen isn't, but I'm going to take Reggie Miller. And even then, like, what version of Ray Allen would you want? Would you want, like, the three-point sniper of Boston, his prime Boston years? Or would you want, his athletic, sort of, multiple scoring outings in Milwaukee, where he was dunking on people and stuff like that? Little different vibes for Ray Allen you could have, but I think I'm gonna bench Reggie, start Klay Thompson. Not bad. But yeah, guys, I think that's a good place to stop. There are a couple of other ones, so if you want me to do more of these, definitely let me know down in the comments. If you guys also maybe make up your own down in the comments, I could make a video of the ones down in the comments. I think that could be a lot of fun. I think I might have actually done that before for a video. I think I actually did that a long time ago for a video, but think of any down in the comments. I think that could be pretty fun. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I definitely had a lot of fun. I love doing these types of videos for you guys, and yeah, just like the video. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, I think that is everything. So I will be seeing you tomorrow, or in my next video very, 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 very soon. Alright, guys.